Hello everyone. So today we'll talk about how we can find the resultant of two vectors by using a graphical method. So I'll just take two vectors. So for example, we have these two vectors. One is a vector, and this a vector is given to us as 240-gram mass. The 240-gram mass is acting at 30-degree angle. And the second vector we have is B vector, which is 330 grams and is acting at angle 130 degree. Now, when we are talking about the graphical method, so means we'll find the resultant of the vectors by using a graph. So you are going to plot these vectors on your graph paper. I'll just show you the example how you're going to plot it on the graph paper. So for example, but before that, plotting these vectors on a graph paper, you need to make a scale. You need to choose a scale for your graph. So for example, I choose that my 1 centimeter on my graph paper is equals to 30 grams. So that's why it's gonna be easy to make to put the vectors on the graph paper, because we cannot take like 240 number or the 330 on the graph. So if I take 1 centimeter equals to 30 grams, so from this I mean my 1 gram is equals to 1 by 30 centimeter. And from this I can say that 240 gram is going to be 1 by 30 into 240 centimeter. That means this is going to be 8 centimeter. So when you'll calculate this will come out to be 8 centimeter. So what we can say that 240 gram on my graph paper will be equivalent to the 8 centimeter. This thing. Next, my B vector is 330 gram. So this 330 gram, when I'll take on my graph, I'm going to multiply it by 130. So 330 centimeter, it's going to be 11 centimeter equivalent on the graph. So now I got my scale for these two different vectors. Now I can plot my vectors on a graph paper. I would recommend you guys to take a graph paper for these plotting of these graphs. I'm just showing it to you how you're gonna do it. So suppose we have a horizontal line here, and so suppose there is okay, so my scale, suppose my 1-axis is here. I'm going to take my first vector. So my first vector, A vector, is 240 gram. My first vector was this A vector, which was 240 gram. When I changed my scale, it was equivalent to 8 centimeter, and this was at 30 degree, acting at 30 degrees. So I'll take this vector and this vector on this axis up to, so this angle is my 30 degree, and this is my A vector, which is actually 240 grams, but according to our scale, you're going to choose it as 8 centimeter on your graph paper. Now, next I had my B vector. So B vector was 330 gram, and this was equivalent to 11 centimeter on my graph at angle 130 degree. So when I'm going to take my second vector, Now I'm gonna make the axis at this point for this vector, and my vector will be at, so I'm gonna put my protractor at this point on this axis, and I'll take the angle on this, and this angle is going to be 130 degree. So 130 degree, and the line is going to be, the magnitude is going to be 11 centimeter for this. So I'm going to choose my line, and this is going to be 11 centimeter, my vector. So this vector is our B vector, and this B vector is 11 centimeter on this graph, and 11 centimeter original mass is 330 grams, and this is at 130 degree. So this total angle is your 130 degree. Now, so we have these two vectors. Now we just need to find the resultant of our these two vectors. So what we are going to do, we are again gonna make axis on this at the same level of x-axis, and at the end you will be going to join these vectors, the tail of first vector and the tip of second vector. So this is the resultant, which is the closing side of the triangle. So this vector R is your closing vector, the closing side of this triangle. And now what you're going to do, you are going to measure the magnitude through the ruler on your graph, the magnitude of this resultant. So you're going to put your ruler on this vector R, and you're going to measure this. So when I measured on my graph paper, this resultant came out to be approximately 12.5 centimeter for me. And this angle came out to be approximately 89 degree on my graph. So I would suggest you do it on your graph and then find this line. How long is this line? Whatever is the length, that is going to be your resultant. So now we got the resultant from these two vectors. So the resultant vector that we got is 12.5 centimeters. Now we can convert this resultant to grams. We are just going to multiply this number with 30 and we'll get it in grams. So our resultant will be 375 grams, and it will be at an angle of 89 degree. So this is what this and how we got the resultant of two vectors by using the graphical method. This is what you're supposed to do to find the experimentally find the resultant of two vectors by using the graphical method. Thank you.